it's really wonderful to be here with you. I know many of you in the room. So I just welcome you to this session that I've titled Creatively Engaging Topics of Diversity, which I know that all of you know quite a bit about yourselves, so I'm going to be trying to bring out some of your experience in the room. But apart from the brief introduction that Susie and Richard just gave, a lovely introduction, I'll just let you know that my name is Stephanie Fenwick. Let's see if I can do this in one breath. And I'm the Executive Director of Curricular Instructional Effectiveness in the Center for Teaching, Learning, and Assessment. Always have these long titles. So I've been at APU since 2001. And my background is in higher education and adult learning with an emphasis on transformative learning and social justice. So I started my own kind of cultural awareness journey about 13 years ago. I was in the master's level graduate program, and one of my professors in an instructional design class asked all of us actually in this kind of lengthy writing assignment to describe our culture. Well, I couldn't do that. I could not do that. And it was, as you can imagine, it was very exciting to not be able to do this assignment. I had one sentence on the page. I think it was, I'm just a normal American, just a normal American with some Swedish roots and a really strong love of black coffee. But seriously, that was the beginning of what I would say has been, I'm just going to be honest with you, quite a painful, but also joyful journey into increasing cultural awareness. What I did recognize were the privileged pieces of my identity that were impacting my effectiveness in the classroom, with colleagues and friends, no doubt with my family and other people in my spheres of influence. And not being able to have that awareness was making me just not have the impact that I could in terms of loving others, in terms of being a person, in terms of being a Christian person. So, yeah, I have so enjoyed my partnership with Richard and Susie. As Susie mentioned, I'm the liaison from the Center for Teaching, Learning, and Assessment with the Center for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusive Excellence. Can you do that in a sentence? And it's just a rich partnership that we've had together, and I so appreciate that. I also teach in the Master of Arts in Leadership program. I love my students. One of my students from last semester is here, and I'm meeting him face to face for the first time. One last thing. What was my one last thing? Well, I was in the first Diversity Ambassador cohort, and I've just been so appreciative of the ways that Richard and Susie and their team and everybody who's been involved have created and expanded and sustained this really critical movement for us here in the APU learning community. So I'm just grateful for that. Well, if I hadn't wished you Happy New Year's yet, oh, that was still last week. I'm wishing you Happy New Year's. And I want you now, if any of you spend any time with me anywhere, you know that I always have people stand up at first and talk to each other, which for the introverts is painful, I'm sorry. I want you to think of something that significantly impacted you in 2017, either negatively or positively. Make it something, choose one thing that you can actually share with another person. And I'm going to have you stand up. It'll be your last opportunity to stand up for 40 minutes. I'm going to have you stand up, find a person, and just exchange that, and then I'll have you come back and sit down. So for example, last February, my oldest daughter had twin baby boys, and so I had added 2 children to my grandchildren. That was very significant for us. There's lots of significant things happening. In our brief time together, we just did our Happy New Year walk around. I'm going to ask for, again, some of your experiences around effective ways that you have experienced in engaging diversity conversation, and we'll get some of those strategies up. I want to talk to you about one excellent and creative way in which to do that. I know some of you have been listening about the Diversity Mosaic experience this morning, but I'm going to talk with you about that a little bit and the curriculum that has been designed to frame those narrative videos so that it is, I don't want to say easy, but I want to say it's effective for you to take a video and go into your particular area of influence and foster some conversation around diversity. And then I'm going to ask you to think about, as kind of a takeaway brainstorm, what you could be doing specifically as you consider these ideas and then think about your own areas of influence. So this will look a little bit different for everybody, but that's great. The agenda is non-negotiable, no. But if I speak too quickly, which I tend to, or something I say doesn't make sense to you, can happen, would you just stop me and we'll talk. So we're a little flexible that way. It's very informal. All right, so here's another activity, and here's how we're going to do it. I want you with your tables, because I think that's more effective than just people shouting out, because people are shy about doing that. We just hear from one or two voices. I want you at your table to try to let everybody who wants to talk share an example of when you have seen conversation about diversity done well. So I'd like you to kind of confine that to your professional setting, because that's what we're kind of thinking about. But if you don't have an example from that, so sad. If you don't have an example from that, then please do use your community or your church or some other setting where you have seen this done well. An example from my area is one of our deans here runs a diversity reading group. He picks books, people come, we read, we discuss. I have learned more through that collection of different people around these diverse topics. Excellent way, reading groups. That's my example. So you guys quickly, I'm just going to give you about 3 minutes to come up with a couple key examples at your table. And then we'll share it out with the group. Okay, so now what we want to do is we're just going to quickly go around the room and pull out maybe just one effective strategy that you heard at your table. So it doesn't have to be the person who did it, just somebody speak for your table. Okay, and Richard's going to write them up here because he's the best scribe. All right, do you guys want to start? What's the one effective strategy? Experience.
So at our team, we talked a little bit about some different things that happen in student life. One of them is our student leadership training for Colombago Day for our students. And then even, I was an RD for a period of time, and so the SDRD as well as residents, I've kind of created that packet of stuff for our student leaders regarding diversity, and one of them was like a kind of like a privilege exercise. And so regarding like, there was phrases put up across the board regarding different types of potential privilege, so gender, socioeconomic class, race, all those different things. And they had to like get a physical representation. They would take these for every phrase that were like that they could say, and so there was kind of a physical representation of that as they went around the room.
Thank you so much. Okay, how about this table back here?
I've been nominated to share. I was just, well, one of the things I was sharing at my table is that I learned a lot from my, this is not professional, not AP related, but from my husband who used to work in politics and had to kind of understand how to engage with people from really different backgrounds. And he just had a great learner's mentality. So I think asking lots of questions, being willing to engage with people around lots of different issues and neighborhood councils and things like that. So for me, I was learning about just how to ask a lot of questions and be a learner.
Great spirit of inquiry to open that up. Thank you so much. What about you guys?
I guess quickly, we learned in the fall to make space for the hard conversations. Making space for
I'm sorry.
just making space for the difficult conversations. We had an incident in our fall retreat in the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences where some faculty came with ulterior motives and wanted to derail the whole conversation. And so our dean actually called each of those faculty members in and had, the tough conversation, but they were also very uplifting conversations at the same time and kind of opened up the proper place, time, and space for those types of things, and not necessarily in a fall retreat session.
Yeah, no, well, I mean, I really hear you saying making space in a lot of different ways, right?
Yeah.
For people individually, what we bring into our professional setting, how we handle that. Thank you.
And I just appreciated hearing about a leader that took an appropriate intervention to make sure that the behavior was addressed, the harmful behavior.
Yeah, it didn't just sit in the classroom, which is some of the feedback that we get from our students is that we as faculty members sometimes don't, we're scared or we don't want to approach a subject that's been, brought up in the classroom, and so that can be more harmful than not. So we're going to do that. Thank you so much. What about you all?
I think the things that we heard now said were amazing, but one of the things that came away were doctoral students, how when they reach that level and they're in a cohort model, they're better prepared and better able to have those difficult conversations and then begin to realize where they are, whether that's an area of privilege or those pieces, they're able to take the classroom discussions and the readings to advance it. So it just shows the importance of working with the classroom.
Great, thank you so much. What about you all? I won't forget you guys.
Well, I went to this good workshop in the morning.
What was that?
Having a good balance of advocacy and inquiry. So instead of being focused on getting your point across or trying to set your own agenda, actively listen to the other person and take some time to allow your curiosity to be put to the side so that they can be heard and that you can understand their perspective.
Thank you, that takes practice. Thank you so much. What about you all? This is, I call it the window seat. Who would have the opinion?
I mean, there were a bunch of different wonderful things talked about at our table. I think Paige brought up something really interesting, echoing what Ted said about creating space. So in the biology and chemistry department, just the students, the student workers that are brought in, making sure to create a space where somebody who might not normally have that opportunity is given the space and there's room for learning is allowed and just creating more diverse student population in that department.
That's great, right? You feel like you can do that, make mistakes and learn together?
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. All right, what about you all?
We're kind of with the gambit where some have not had an opportunity to really exercise that at work, and others of us where it's definitely been a gift where we absolutely can. And then I think your story of how that all worked out in a safe space of being able to talk about really serious things that can learn on the table.
Okay. Is there one specific strategy you guys want to talk about? Nikki, do you want? Not that we're putting you on. Not that I'm pointing at you.
Yes, sure. So we talked about struggle with student life for our student leaders, and one of the things we did is at the beginning of the year, one of the pretty painful incidents with racial slur incident that happened that a group did attend, and so kind of an unprompted conversation that we had with some of our student leaders that turned into an hour and a half, almost 2 hour long conversation about what does this mean for students of color and what does this mean for students who don't identify that way and kind of everything in between. So, I mean, I know the question is the discussion effectively engaged. That's exactly what we had was a discussion and setting aside an hour and a half, 2 hours going over our meeting time, which sometimes those take longer than just, okay, let's talk about this for 20, 30 minutes and then move on and sometimes sit in this for a while.
Yeah,
So
I get
that was an effective thing for our students.
Fabulous intuition about letting that happen in a necessary way and having the comfort level and the skills to do that. Thank you. Okay, well, you already did. Did I get everything? Oh, you guys are amazing. Okay, so thank you, Richard. So you have student strategies you need to coach. Appreciate that. So the research indicates that one of the most effective ways of engaging diversity conversation and topics is through listening to other people's narrative experiences, their stories, right? Most of you are probably familiar with that. Stories that, again, might not necessarily, might be from people who are different than I am, or it might be people who are like I am but have had different experiences, and therefore those rich experiences, when we can really hear them and really make space for them and do them in some strategic ways, can be highly impactful. So, Dr. Scott Bledsoe, how many of you have already heard all about the Diversity Mosaic Experience Video Project? So a bunch of you in the room, but some of you have not. So I'm not going into great detail with this today. I'm really using it as a catalyst for helping you understand how creative ways can engage people in conversation. So you'll just get little bits and pieces here, and I'm sorry for the repeating. I don't think that Scott, who's a clinical psychologist, faculty member here, thought that when he first did that first interview with somebody and said, tell me your story about whatever in terms of diversity and culture, that it would evolve over the next couple of years into this rich resource and kind of library of stories that we can leverage. And as I've talked to Scott over the last year, at least three things kept coming up in our conversation. he wants to use these videos to create space for authentic engagement about diversity. And again, the way you do that is starting in people's stories. And so he's created this repository for us to do that. The Center for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusive Excellence also wants us to spread into enriching diversity skills and knowledge in an academic way and also in a co-curricular way. So that's another leverage point for this project. And then finally, again, if we can just learn from one another with all these rich stories that are in the AP community, it's phenomenal. So I'm just going to briefly show you all the topics as the stories started coming in. Scott started pulling themes. These are some of the themes. I'm not going to read them to you. I'll show them to you again in a different slide when we're talking about how to use it. But you can see how, just imagine this, he's interviewing people, interviewing us like he's got something about microaggressions. Oh my gosh, that would be a great way to engage us in the community. Oh my goodness, here's a story from a first generation student. Here's what it's like to have a kid with chronic illness. And all of these things started. We heard some of those stories this morning. Oh, let's not go to Jane yet. So then last fall, this is where I can connect my own experience. Last fall, the conversation went from, if you've seen the video clip, you'll see a reflective question that Scott has created for each one. And it comes up on the screen, so that's a way to engender the conversation. Last fall, Susie and Richard and Scott were talking about enlarging that idea, not just having reflective questions, but really having a framework and a structured kind of curriculum that would make it easy for people to use the videos in this Mosaic experience. So, if I can do this briefly, I get a phone call from Susie, and this is the cool thing. If you work with Susie and Richard, if you get a phone call from one of them, often the other one is in the room because they're collaborating together and working together. So I get a call from Susie, and she says, hi, Richard and I are here together working, and we're wondering if you can help us with Scott's diversity motivated experience and come up with some curriculum ideas for that. And this is full disclosure, right? So I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't do that right now. I don't have time. I'm create curriculum for all these things. And Susie's like, no, so we're not asking you to create curriculum for the entire project. We just want you to help us come up with a framework for that. And I'm like, okay. If you have time, we'll be on here. We need to start working on this month. Okay, I'll call you soon. Sure. So, how sometimes when you're completely overwhelmed with something, it's like, it's on the list now. But never hesitate to go back to your autobiography and your training and a little nudge from the Holy Spirit. So that night, while I was in bed in one of my wakeful nights, 3-4 hours, I'm kind of sifting back through my day for that 24 hours, pulling out things I might want to pray about, both good and bad. And of course, I bump up against my conversation with Richard and Susie. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'll sit here for a minute. So I'm laying there, and I really felt the Holy Spirit saying, come on, Fenwick, it's dialogue education. You have it already. It's there. And yeah, take all this dialogue education, I'll be perfect. Hi, Richard. Oh, is Susie in the office with you? Yeah, okay. Because I'm going to send you guys some flyers about Bella's dialogue education and the FARI sequence. See what you think. We love it. Okay, so we're going to get together. All right, so that's what happened. But here's why JBell, how many of you are familiar with dialogue education and JBell's work specifically around designing learning experiences that are transformative through this model? Oh, that makes me so excited. I get to do something new. All right, so one of my favorite adult educators, Jane Bell, for the last 30 years, and now her work is being carried on by people like me, who's Global Learning Partners, who love her work, training for dialogue, learning to listen, learning to teach, on teaching and learning, putting the principles and practices of dialogue education into action. One of the great things about this kind of educational work is it honors learner experience and story. It constructs transformative learning change out of personal story, but it has a very structured way of moving you through a training event, whether it's a very formal event or informal event, where you've had an opportunity to move through all of the elements. And we're actually, I've given you a resource handout, we're actually going to talk about specifically these 4 A's, so I'm going to give you a little bit overview. I also gave you the 8 design steps, which we won't really be talking much about today, but I just want you to see that there's a bigger picture than just the 4 A's. So Jane Miller, Dialogue Education, go online to globallearningpartners.com and you'll have just, well, some for us, but free resources. They already come with PowerPoints and other kinds of things around facilitating difficult dialogue and conversation. So here are her 8 design steps. I think I learned about these in the class after where I can talk about our culture. Here they are in their view this way. But what I want you to see here is kind of who, what, when, where, why, what for, how, am I going to do this in a really precise way that has you think about your participants ahead of time so you know who's in the room when you're doing some sort of training event. You just don't go do something like this kind of difficult conversation in a vacuum, right? But then it tells you exactly how to approach. So we're only going to be concerned today with the top of that pyramid, which is the learning task and the how. So when we were looking at the desire to have some structure around the DME videos, this 4A learning sequence is what came to mind. So you can see that when we get to the point where we're looking at how are we going to engage people in a learning task, we're first going to anchor it in their experience. We're then going to add, that's number 2, some new content. Number 3, we're going to actually, in that session, have some sort of apply, some application, where you get to work with that new content and the experience. And then for the transfer learning or the away piece, you can see that thing is just moving out of the scene there. How am I going to use that back? What's a concrete way I'm going to take this back into my setting? So the structure that's really workable for a lot of different kinds of informal and formal meetings and events. All right, so I wanted to share with you, again, a little bit more about the process. So then, after the phone calls, and I'll put a meeting on the calendar, this is all Susie, because she's so incredibly organized. She pulled everybody together. These are the wonderful diversity ambassadors who agreed to take different topic areas and use the 4A sequence to design activities, which I'll show you in just a minute. So we got together in a room, class conference room. Beautiful place, they just remodeled it. And Scott gave us his vision for the project, and then Susie gave us kind of a timeline, and we talked about what it would mean to take topical areas and take them through the 4 A's. So, anytime you're introduced to something, even if you've done things in a different way that are similar, there is a spirit of this, which is the dialogue education behind it, that is really trying to honor and respect learner experience and then bring in really rich resources to help the learning happen. So these people are marvelous. I don't know how many of you know even one person on this. You know at least 2. Okay, these are marvelous people who came alongside and spent time. So we got together that first time, they went back to their topics and did their drafts. We came back in the room together and we did some norming and some looking at each thing. So, okay, well here's this first generation video. That looks like a great anchor. That might be too much ad, so we're going to take off one of those. So what we did was we tried to standardize a bit the way we were using authorities in order to connect it the most effectively with these video possibilities. So thank you to all of these beautiful people. All right, so that was that. That was an agenda item right there. Now I'm just going to give you a snapshot of how you might want to consider using something in your area, given that you're going to shape it the way that it works for you and with your people, right? Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about before, during, and after. Before I do that, do you have any questions about what I just said about dialogue education or the connections in our curriculum process so far? Yes, sir?
Are you what the DME stands for?
I'm sorry, we got so tired of typing it out. Diversity Mosaic Experience.
Okay.
Experience, DME, video project. Okay, we'll just do a quick one. What does CTLA stand for? Anybody? Anybody? Great, and what does the CDEIE stand for? Okay, so of course beforehand you're going to book. What's going to happen is after February 20th, the premiere of the DME project, there's going to be a shared Google folder where you can see all of these topics. In addition to that, you'll see some resources that will help you if you've never done something like this before. So for example, Richard's cultural proficiency scale, which we talked about this morning, there'll be some information about that and doing some work with that. There'll be some resources around how to facilitate conversation. There'll be some things to support people as they think about ways to bring this back into their different areas. So I really appreciate that. So the first thing you would do is identify a topic. And for our purposes, I identify first generation students. And then what I call mindful planning, and we'll already reference this. You know, you don't want to leave these things to chance. So you would review the elements of the 4 prompts for the identified topic, and I'm going to show you what an 8.5 by 11 for a prompt looks like for a particular topic in just a minute. And so you would review that, and then if it was the first time using the curriculum, of course you would also want to review the support resources to make sure that you can get any needed help that you need. You want to answer the who, what, why, when, where, and again, I highly recommend Jane for that, to help you think through those questions. And then determine your needed resources. Are there going to be handouts that you need? Who's going to print those? Who's in charge of the PowerPoint? Who's going to do what? Media setup. I don't know how many rooms I've been in where I forgot to check the media setup. That's important to do that. I always recommend using a co-facilitation model. Elaine, would you stand up just for 1 minute? Elaine Richardson, yeah. So Elaine is a colleague who co-facilitates with me around particularly the topic of my professions, but we've done FLCs on navigating other kinds of topics in the classroom. Why am I saying it's good to consider using a co-facilitation model when you want to make one of these events happen? Even if it's a short staff meeting, or it's, maybe it's a staff retreat, or it's, you want to help your peers in student life with something. Or you're a chair and you want to help the faculty in the department. Why is the co-facilitation model important?
Different perspectives, I'm assuming.
Absolutely, Mary. That's it. I can't experience all the things that Elaine experiences around my profession and vice versa, right? So when we come together with that different voice, plus it's just more fun to do hard things with another person. Right? So I really encourage that. Plan a session or media event, and then always consider using a short sort of what we call formative in-process assessment for evaluation, so you can see if you get the mark. So also you're going to want to create an inviting meeting space. Yeah. And you want to set up that space. You're in charge of your space, you guys. Don't leave that to chance. Why do you think that Richard starts at 5 in the morning and comes here, and then how do you think he finds these tables? In rows. Right. And I call that, ineffective learning in bats and pets. So whether it's a U shape, it's a circle, you always want to have people being able to see other people's faces, right? So you just take hold of that and make sure that the space that you decided to use, you've gone to ahead of time, organize it so that it works well for that. And then don't leave anything to chance. What are some things that you might leave to chance and regret?
Not enough chairs.
Technology, chairs.
Not enough chairs.
Not enough chairs. Temperature. No snacks.
No, heavens.
Just really, you and your partner start considering what it will be like. Here's a gift that would be straight. Considering what it would be like to be sitting in the room doing your training. Okay, and then always don't be afraid to tell people why you're there. What are the outcomes that you want from this session? I don't care if it's a short staff meeting session where you have been asked to facilitate this topic. Let people know what your purpose is. People can get on board and focus more if you can tell them your purpose, what are the objectives. And then we all work with lovely people, but we forget, especially in the heat of things that might trigger us, some ground rules for good communication, and I'm missing some. One of the ones that I've been adding to this recently is attending to dynamics. So if I'm a person who talks a lot, I should probably know that and talk less. If I'm a person who tends not to speak up, I need to encourage myself to speak. So be aware of the dynamics in the room, and particularly your role in those dynamics, so that the ultimate goal is for the best learning to happen, everybody's voice needs to be heard in some way at some time in that time. And again, these are not comprehensive. This is just kind of a before, during, after checklist you can use. Then you play the video. You've already seen some of these videos. They're about anywhere from, what, 2 to 5 minutes long. This one is 3 minutes. The beautiful Sandra Sandoval just talking about her first generation experience. And then you'll use that 4A topic prompt sheet that you've already reviewed to facilitate the time. So let me just show you. It would be on, I'm so sorry, it's not showing on this slide. My boss is here, so that's not a good thing. This would be on an 8.5 by 11 document in that shared folder, and you'll see the category title, First Generation Students. This is just one of many videos. You standard the video. And then here's A1, here's the anchor, anchoring an experience. So somebody read that real quick for me, the A1. I know there are people that are reading out loud. But maybe not in this room. Are you picking somebody to read out loud?
No, I was starting to, but I heard somebody over there.
Anchors, and share some of the challenges that first generation students face when bridging the gap between their academic life and family life. Describe a time when you've had to navigate in a new environment. This might be moving to a new school, place of work, or even being part of a new family due to marriage. How did you feel? Did you ever feel that you had to hide aspects of your past, or did you miss your previous environment?
Thank you, Elaine. Thank you, Erin. We'll have you do the next couple ones. You can see how this anchors this conversation, first in the video narrative, right, about first gen, and then giving some creative ways to really think through those topics together. This is a link that is an ad piece that would give new content, new information based on what perhaps Sandra has said, or perhaps just about first generation students in general. And then, Erin, would you mind reading the same portion?
Sure. Sandra said that she's in a cool place where she's able to, quote, mesh well with 2 different cultures, discuss some practical ways that first generation, I'll give generation students can, quote, mesh well into the academic climate, a place that may feel foreign to them.
Thank you. Okay, so you can see how that applies. Just takes you right down. You're in the setting that people haven't walked away and you just said, use that information in some way. Instead, you said, no, let's take this information and let's really think about what that might be together. And then finally, the A, go back to your office department, discuss practical strategies for your office department, a way of thinking concretely about transferring learning from that setting away, right? So you can see how this could run the gamut of different kinds of events or meetings or class sessions or department retreats that you might have. And again, just a plethora of things to choose from in terms of topic. In CTLA, we have numerous informal questionnaires that you can steal from us. We're happy to provide questionnaires for you, but that's kind of the scary thing of doing something, right? At the end, if you evaluate, you're going to get feedback. Not all of it's going to be positive because you're not perfect. I know it's you. So you use that feedback then to debrief, preferably over a nice cup of coffee with your co-facilitator, and you say, okay, here's where I mean, we're missing the mark there. We had way too much content for that. Oh yeah, well, we probably do that again, even though this person didn't like it, because they're going to like it more later. So some ways to talk about how you're going to reshape your next time that you do something together is really an important piece. So don't leave that out. And really, this should have been about this. You always want to have a closing discussion. Man, when I first started teaching, I'm not good at this. I would not close out the evening, or I'm talking about, I would not close out the evening with all the different things we learned and have people pull up their significant takeaways. And one of the things I learned from Dr. Richardson, who's really on the spot today, is the checkout. And she always does a checkout in her classroom sessions and in other settings to say, and there'll be a question, you know, what's your key takeaway? Or what are you going to use? How are you going to use this week? Or what are you going to bring back into the room? So I wouldn't just do that as a raise your hand. The most effective checkout is when you, again, allow every person in the room to have maybe one idea that they share. Because then you're getting the wealth of all that learning. And then you can think about ideas and future activities together. Because then you have a lot of everything and connections to larger unit or university goals. And I heard you talking about university ambassador plans. And so this might connect to that. is our last activity together. I'm on time. If you thought back over the last 40 minutes, I really did try to design this before we threw a boring model. So this is kind of our it's our apply anyway. I kind of put them together in the interest of time. So now what I want you to do, just with yourself and a partner, okay, not with your whole table. Because I think we're going to get more bang for our buck if we do it this way. I really am not just doing this haphazardly. I want you to think about one way, given what you've been thinking about and talking about today, that you might use the GME video narratives to engage diversity in your area. When I do it. And then I want you to pair up with one other person and quickly share that idea. And we're going to bring them out to the room really quickly. There was no bell. Hey, it's time. Great. It just wasn't the same. Oh my God. Okay. So let's share some of the ideas, which will then be taught about ideas. I won't put you on the table. You're just. How many of you in third grade were so excited about today that you like it? So those people can share first.
I'll share.
I was going to say now you're going to share.
From Laura and I's discussion on undergraduate professional enrollment services. Undergraduate professionals have already been engaging in this conversation. So it's because we're having this conversation, we're aware of things, but then like practical application piece, it's like we're still trying to find those pieces. So like it probably be useful in that context to create like a practical application.
Pick a topic and maybe get some feedback about what people are wanting, right?
But it's just kind of like actually putting together actually knowing.
Yeah.
And Laura has a very unique situation. I don't know if you want to share this.
Well, we don't talk about diversity at all in my area. And so I was thinking of keeping it very high level, just introducing the topic, keep it, concepts and just talking about it in order to encourage dialogue. Because we need to talk about it.
So do you think some things in this kind of structure might help them?
I think so. I think that it could be a good icebreaker and introduce, themes and maybe keep it, because we do deal with students, but everyone doesn't. Some people, have indirect exposure to students. But I think internally as a department, we really can learn how to interact with each other.
I see valuable in both ways, right?
Yes.
And then sometimes a video like this or a film like this can take the onus off of us, and it puts it on, so if you're doing something else, sometimes it's easier to do. So thank you for that. Great. Who else? Yes?
I thought this exercise could help me personally in the grants office. My name is Suzanne, I work in the Office of Research and Grants. And I was sharing with Nathan that we're so isolated in the 80 building as it is. And this would be a way to bring our department to something that's happening university-wide.
Nice.
So it would connect us to a greater purpose, and I shouldn't say not just writing grants, but other than managing and writing grants.
Right, we just want more things that you're right to have that connector. Great example. What else? Yes?
Our department has a department monthly, there's 13 of us, 3 of which are ambassadors, myself, and we have on our agenda diversity. And we either have a question to discuss, a vote that we put out there, we've had receipts review, we've done all kinds, we done Mago Day as a group, so we're really immersed in this. But this, I think, would be a great change to what we've been doing.
Nice.
Mix it up a little bit, and I know most of the team has not seen these, so it'd be something different and
That's great. So I know you're using something fresh and there's some really good work you guys are doing. Great. What about someone else? Where are you, third grade handers? Come on. My husband teaches third grade. Yes.
Along the same line, last summer we did the activity class and we came together once a week. So along the same line, you were talking about is using these videos and doing that once a week and coming together having a discussion. So that gives us the opportunity to view them all. Maybe it's 2 videos and a lunch discussion, but being committed to doing that over summertime timeframe.
I love that. So instead of a reading group, using these and slides. What did you guys use?
The next, being student ready, college ready student?
No, student ready colleges or something like that, so.
Can you remember the name of it?
You're talking about the law.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. Thank you for sharing that. How about one more? I heard lots of talk.
We talked about just in our faculty meetings, or just the meetings that happen, every so often, to be able to have just a moment, to do that.
You mean like an all-faculty meeting, right? Just throw up a video?
No.
In your school?
In our department.
Okay, in your department.
In our department, we get together, and sometimes, there's devotional, start off with devotional, but, also to be able to have that moment to introduce something like that. And I like the co-facilitator, then it's like, it's not just put on the person who left the ground, it's
Exactly.
you know what I mean? So, yeah.
Okay, so you're making me think, where's Marina? She's still here. She's feeling longer, but just some fabulous curriculum, you guys, using art as a foundation. So there's lots of treasures in there. I want to thank you for your attention today and just a great conversation. Here in rapid form is the premiere, which is on February 20th. Cindy, I can probably talk to you guys a little bit about that, but just if you mark that on your calendar, you'll get to hear the University of What's going on with this project, because there's lots of story. So thank you very much. Thank you.